Hey everyone, my name is Wedge. The next stop in our Commander 2015 deck review series is going to be Plunder the Graves, the new black-green Commander deck. If you've missed previous episodes, we've already covered the Daxus Orzhov deck and the Mizzix Izzet deck. You can find those right here. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, remember to hit that like button. It helps out a lot. Time to plunder. Meren of Clan Neltoth is the front and center commander for this deck. Whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. Easy enough. At the beginning of your end step, choose target creature card in your graveyard. If that card's converted mana cost is less than or equal to the number of experience counters you have, return it to the battlefield, otherwise put it in your hand. In case you don't know, Meren is crazy. Unless you live under a rock, you know that sacrifice decks are a thing in Commander. Not only that, but this card lets you recur all of your creatures one at a time. Even if you don't have experience counters, you still get the creatures back to your hand. That's ridiculous. Get ready for more value than you can shake a stick at. Thanks to how straightforward Meren is, it's pretty easy to see what you're trying to do here. Sacrifice creatures you don't care about to do unfair things, then return those creatures back to the battlefield. The synergy's crazy strong. Satyr, Wayfinder, Viridian Emissary, and Wood Elves are all great sacrifice fodder to the likes of Eater of Days, Mycoloth, Phyrexian Plaguelord, and more. Meren's ability lets you bring back whatever you want, so a card like Viridian Zealot is a naturalize on a stick. Sakura Tribe Elder is a repeatable fetch, Eternal Witness gets extra value on entry every time, and Shriekmaw becomes a repeatable removal spell. Thanks to Meren's stupid recursion, you'll never actually run out of gas for anything. It's downright outrageous. The deck also runs an impressive spell package. Wretched Confluence is a versatile powerhouse. Dread Summons gives you a bunch of zombies in addition to stocking your yard with Meren fodder. The summons also synergizes well with your Spiders spawning, Rise from the Grave, and Victimize, all cards that you need deep graveyards for. Of course, no giant Golgari deck is complete without your bombs. Gerard Golgari Lichlord is the reprint commander and a shoo-in for the strategy. Extractor Demon is a nice addition considering how insane Unearth is in this type of strategy. Verdant Force is a giant beatstick that creates more sacrifice targets for you, so you know that's good. The deck has a lot going on. It isn't very subtle about what it's trying to do. If you want to upgrade this deck, you'll probably want to go for a Pox type build. By that I mean mutually assured destruction, since you can get back your creatures and most of the time your opponents can't. Pox and Smallpox are two great additions. I'd also consider Deathcloud and Smokestack. Remember, you're not trying to stop yourself from sacrificing things, you're trying to get everyone else to sacrifice things. Your power is in your recursion, leverage it. There are also plenty of value cards you can add to this Pox strategy. Merciless Executioner, Fleshbag Marauder, Puppeteer Click, all solid. There are some players turning Meren into a Dredge-style commander with Life from the Loam, Golgari Grave Troll, Titania Protector of Argith, and more. Not a strategy I would play, but hey, teach their own, right? Mazirek Crawl Death Priest is the alternate commander in this deck, and you really can't get any more obvious than this. Whenever a player sacrifices another permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Yeah, pretty obvious. Now the precon does come with a few cards that work especially well with Mazirek. Butcher of Malakir is great, Barter and Blood gives 2 counters, Altar's Reap gives you 2 cards and a counter on everything, Eldrazi Monument, counter every single turn. Don't get me wrong, Mazirek and Meren both care about sacrificing creatures, so they will have a decent amount of overlap, but these are just a few cards that work better with the Priest than with Meren. If you want to go 100% into this whole sacrifice theme with Mazirek, you can totally do that. I would of course start with Woodfall Primus. The card straight up goes infinite with Mazirek. Get some zero cost sack outlets like a Phyrexian Altar in play, sacrifice the Primus, it comes back. Since you decide how to stack your triggers, you can just let the Persist trigger resolve first, Primus comes back in, then gets the counter from Mazirek, do that over and over again and wipe the board of all the non-creatures. Besides this hilarious combo, the deck runs a ton of great sacrifice cards. Sidisi Undead Vizier, Sadistic Hypnotist, Ghoulcaller Gisa, all wonderful. You do need things to sacrifice though. Endrick Sair, Avenger of Zendikar, Awakening Zone, From Beyond. There are plenty of cards in black and green to create tokens effectively. Lastly, your non-creature sacrifice outlets. Ashnod's Altar is perfect, so is Phyrexian Altar as previously mentioned. Birthing Pod gives you additional value when you sacrifice something, same with Evolutionary Leap. Again, so many ways to utilize sacrificing creatures. The strategy really is laid out right in front of you. Alright, so what isn't in Meren or Mazirek that absolutely should be? Meren needs Fleshbag Marauder and Merciless Executioner in addition to Dictate of Erebos and Grave Pact. Mazirek needs the sacrifice outlets as well, of course, but also definitely play the Puppeteer Click, Savra, Queen of the Golgari, and Pox effects like Death Cloud. You'll want all of them. Financially speaking, we're actually looking at a decent amount of value here. Eldrazi Monument is currently the third most expensive card out of Commander 2015, sitting around $7. Meren is $5, and Mazirek is almost $3, along with Wretched Confluence. Eternal Witness is a much-needed reprint, sitting at $4 even with this printing. Lastly, the deck does give you a copy of High Market, a nice $3 reprint for you. Not a super ton of value, but more than the Is It deck and a lot of staples to boot. Getting copies of Champion of Stray Souls, Phyrexian Plaguelord, Lotless Troll, and the like is pretty sweet. Thanks to how obvious the strategy is, there were definitely some auto-includes in the pre-con list that easily make it into more competitive decks. Well, that does it for Plunder the Graves. Now, I obviously can't cover every single card that should be in these decks, so if you can think of anything you'd want to put in, let me know in the comments. I'm sure you'll come up with something crazy. Also, which of these cards do you plan on running and in which decks? I know there are plenty of you Dredge/Sacrifice fans out there. Excited to hear what you have planned. As always, subscribe for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source. I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.